5 ways to increase the value of a business that do not require brilliance. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, managing partner here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market, lower middle market, M&A and capital advisory firm, helping companies generating $1 million to $10 million in pre-tax earnings or EBITDA, sell their companies, or secure capital. So we're oftentimes asked, how do we increase the value of our business? How do we make it more valuable to the market? And while there are a lot of technical considerations or more complicated solutions, today's video we wanted to highlight 5 things that anybody can do in any business that will ultimately increase the value of that business over not even that long of a period of time. First of these, work more. Now, there's always the expression, work smarter, not harder. The real answer is you got to do both. But putting more hours, allocating more brain power of the laser beam of thought and intellect towards whatever it is that you are doing will inevitably yield results. And so just allocate the hours towards solving the solutions, right? If you think of progress in a business, oftentimes people think of calendar years, but if you really think of it in terms of hours allocated to something, then the person who's allocating twice as many hours towards something is going to effectively progress at twice the amount of time. Now, in a similar vein, if you said the iteration or the time between making a decision and taking action on a decision, if you can shorten that as well, and it takes work to do so, that also creates more progress. And so really all of the allocation of time towards something, it just shrinks the timeline or the pays the toll, if you will, for progress. And so building off of that, number 2 is increase sales inputs. And so when you think of the sales process of a business, you have inputs and outputs. You make phone calls, you send out emails, you send out flyers, you fly airplanes over beaches, whatever the marketing mechanism or the outreach mechanism is. And then based on that, there are outputs. We have this many meetings set up, this many calls set up, this many interested parties in our product, service offering, etc. So if you increase the inputs, inevitably the outputs will increase as well. I mean, all marketing works. It's just a matter of efficiency. If you stood on the roof of your house and said, I sell car insurance, over some period of time, maybe it's 10 years, someone's going to walk by and say, hey, you know what, I need car insurance, and this guy's been yelling about it for a while, so perhaps I should give it a whirl. But point being is, and that's obviously a bit of a facetious example, is if you have a wide addressable audience for it, whatever it is that you sell, and you just increase the amount of lines in the water, the amount of irons in the fire, you can almost assume that the same level of efficacy is going to come back on the outputs. Now again, if you have a very, very narrow audience, but for most B2B services, products, offerings, whatever, B2C, doesn't really matter. Most pools are billions of dollars, and therefore, if you simply increase inputs, outputs will similarly increase as well. And therefore, selling more means more money in the till, means more value to the business. Number 3, cut costs that do not support sales. Now, obviously, in any business, there's going to be a lot of administrative and support costs, but if you are looking on how to increase the value of a business, think of where does all the money go? So everything comes in at the top of the funnel, it then gets spread about to cover a certain amount of expenses, and then whatever's left is profit. And so when you look at that core of expenses, say which of these are directly leading to sales, and which of these are nice to haves. And so someone told me once, if you think of a spend in terms of awareness, marketing, advertisement, 90% of that should be the things that are directly correlated to sales, and 10% of it should be awareness. And so yes, everybody looks at the Pepsi and Coca-Cola and say, well, you just want to be out there and just be doing things. And when your company and my company are worth billions and billions of dollars, perhaps that is the right avenue. But in the earlier innings, and even really to the the 7th inning stretch of the overall ball game, you really got to be focused on what things drive sales, what costs support that effort of bringing things in and executing the process, right? And so origination, execution, if you can keep things effectively to that and cut some of the nice to haves, that's one way to always keep the business pretty sharp, pretty lean, and optimize the value. Number 4, and this is more relative to people within a company, encourage those that are doing good things, punish those that are doing bad things. Sounds very simple, much harder in real life. What happens in business is, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. We focus on everybody doing things, and when someone does something bad, we get on their case, and when someone's doing something good, we say, wonderful, isn't that great? And we never even tell them, hey, this is a wonderful job, or anything like that. And so make it a point. When someone does something good, commend them. Do it in public. Do it in front of everybody. Make it a big thing that if you do well here, if you do the right things here, it will be acknowledged. And there's a tremendous amount of value in just that. And likewise, when someone's doing something bad, how many times do we say in business like, oh yeah, but you know how hard it'd be to find someone else who does this thing, or oof, I don't know, he's, Bobby's cousin, and I'm not going to get invited to the cookout this Labor Day, or whatever it is. But in reality, you got to hire slow and fire fast. Measure twice, cut once. And if someone's not good for your business, and it doesn't mean they couldn't be a wonderful partner to somebody else, right? Not dating analogies, but in business, if it's not the right thing, better to move fast on it. Better to take the actions that are necessary, not half-step things out of some worry that you're always going to be alone, right? Or that you're not going to find the thing that it is that you're looking for. And so, similarly, encourage what's good, punish what's bad, iterate, move quickly. And number 5, and this builds off this kind of theme or thesis that we're talking here relative to focus, is don't get distracted. So we talked about focusing in terms of putting more hours into the business, focusing in terms of putting more inputs into the efforts. But in this situation, we always try to say, if you're going to move a business forward, it should really progress in terms of more, better, than different. Do more of something, do better of those things, then do something different. And really different should be far off. These are not equidistant kind of points along the spectrum. Only when compelling, only when perhaps the business is at a certain stage of life, because really something different is just starting a new business. And if you're hitting a certain pain point within your business and you do something different, you're just going to reiterate it until you hit the same point of difficulty. It doesn't work again. And then you say, oh, well, maybe there's another business. And so it's incredibly important that if you're going to do something different, that it is incremental, enhancing, that it makes sense in terms of the overall context or pie that you are baking, and that will increase the value of a business. And so, to summarize all of these 5 points that we've just discussed, 5 ways that you can increase the value of a business that do not take a Mensa level intellect, that do not require a Mensa level IQ. 1, work more. Put more hours in. 2, increase sales inputs. More inputs, even at the same level of efficiency, will create more outputs. 3, cut costs that don't support sales. And I'd extend that to say sales and execution. If it's selling the thing, if it's doing the thing, that's a good use of money. Be very, very critical with everything that falls around that. Number 4, encourage people that do good things for the company, punish people that do not. Not always going to be everybody's best friend, but you can at least be very clear and transparent. You can acknowledge both the good and the bad. And number 5, more, better, than different. Don't get distracted. So that's a thought for today. 5 ways to increase a business's value that do not require brilliance, and that we implement in our business every day, and that we see in all the wonderful businesses that we work with. Hope the week's off to a good start. Keep pushing forward. God bless. See you next time.